Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 200-plus job boards, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit. This is Ham Nation, episode number 282 for January 11th, 2017. A first look at Bouvet.
Hi, everybody. It's Bob Heil. I am back. And we're in the Ozarks for a while and got all the regulars plus some really big stars tonight. So just settle in and see what's going to happen. It was 75 degrees here in Springfield today. Like it was California weather. It was really, really great. And we'll talk about it in just a minute. But let's see who all's with us tonight. First of all, we have Gordo. How you doing, Gordo?
I am fine, and we have returned from the desert, not dessert, but the desert, and have we got a story to tell? Back to you, Bob.
Okay. And Don, you have all kinds of news and Tamitha's solo report then? I hope so. We're going to have some solar tonight.
Yeah, well, Dr. T will not be with us. She is actually in London right now, addressing the fine folks over there, and God knows they need that. But we do have some solar information directly from the lovely doctor, Tamitha, not you. Of course, you're just as lovely as well, but Dr. T, right. and we'll share that with you coming up in just a little bit, Bob.
Yeah, but look, when we go out east, look who's here. It's Valerie, but look who's with her. Valerie, you're somewhere special, aren't you?
I am. Well, myself, along with 5 Bouvet team members, decided to take the pilgrimage to the Mecca of ham radio, DX Engineering. And I'm here with Tim and Terry, and we're going to be talking a little bit about DX Engineering as well as Bouvet coming up.
Okay, be sure you do it right because Mel's in the chat room and she has a pencil and a piece of paper and she's going to be grading you. And if you have any problem, she'll go, so what? So we have the whole DX Engineering team tonight, and that's great. So thanks for setting it up. And I understand we're going to have some video from Terry or from Tim and Michael Coulter. Remember him? Yes, he's one of the honchos at the Dayton Amateur Radio Club. So we're going to have a lot of information, updated information about Dayton. But before we get to all this, I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I shouldn't do this. I'm going to get smacked down, but that's okay. I have a project that I have been working on with Jerry Ellington. Remember Jerry? Oh, she's like the genius engineer, and she just got her ham ticket. Now, she is a fascinating engineer, and she's getting very tuned into ham radio. But she, like I, love to build things. And I'm going to preface this now. Don't send me emails asking me, is this going to – we don't know when this is going to happen. But I'll tell you one thing. It'll happen before the summer, and you're going to be hearing pieces of it. And it's all going to start with this piece of finished plywood, different sizes of it. And what has that got to do with ham radio? Well, we got some of this B&W coil, okay? And then we have things like this. What the heck is that? Well, that's a tube socket. Tubes. Remember these things? Well, what we're going to do is put those and things like this and resistors and capacitors together. And what you're going to end up with is this. It is a transmitter that you will be able to put on the air and talk. It's not CW, it's voice. But there's going to be parts to build. We have to build a tube preamp. This is just the final amplifier. We have to put our coil with it. But you are going to learn how to do that. Look how there's not very many parts in that. And this is a 75 meter or 40 meter. You notice there's a crystal socket empty here. You plug in the crystal you want for what frequency you want. You tune it with the millimeter. And it's just going to be so much fun. It's going to take a lot of time to do it. Each week we'll come up doing different things. But it all started as my little brainchild that I came up with and meeting up every day with W0 BVT. Richard is a retired broadcast engineer, and he loves to build things. And we call him the pine board builder. He builds things on pine board, and this is one of his circuits, a very simple circuit, and that's what this is. And you don't have to go into chassis and all of the metal work. There's where the real. That's the trouble you can get into. This is really simple, and it works great. I talk to him in the mornings, and he's about 2.5, 3 hours from me on 75 meters. And again, why we want to do this is to get you more in tune with what amateur radio really is. It's just so much fun to build things, and I guarantee you're going to have some fun doing all this. We have to build a power supply. We have to build a speech amp with a 12AX7. That's going to go on here. And bingo, we're there. So I just wanted to give you a little preface. I probably shouldn't do it because you're going to be bugging me about it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we had to get all the parts together, and thanks to Richard today, and I think Jerry's got a few parts, and we'll be giving you a little update on this pine board transmitter, as I have called it. So again, it's all fun and ham radio, and that's what we're all about. So we'll giving you updates along the way. So be finding your soldering irons and not your rosin core solder. And we'll keep you posted on it. So that's what we're doing, Gordo. I just gone crazy lately, just getting all this together and having too much fun when I can stay home. But I'm really excited. I'm excited for our audience because I think this is a kind of thing that amateur radio needs. And Tom Gallagher, the new CEO of the ARRL, and some of the ARRL guys, they're all really excited about some of this. And so away we go. But this is going to be my kickoff. I got some parts to deal with now. So we'll keep you posted. So Gordo, there you are. Get your soldering iron ready, because I know you've done a lot of this too through your days. So now we get to teach it to other people. What do you think, Gordo?
Oh, I think that is great. And you're right about Tom and the league. They like getting right down to the deck and working with kids, adults, old-timers, young-timers, making things happen. And Rosalie White of the American Radio Relay League, she heads up the Amateur Radio International Space Station program for schools. And 500 miles later, I'm happy to say it was a huge success just a few hours ago. So, Brian, if you'll go ahead and roll the short shots. Quartzsite, Arizona. This is where this morning we were going to make contact with the International Space Station. Now, this is put together by the World Genesis Foundation with a mission, leave no child without hope for the future. Well, we gave them plenty of hope after today. And Quartzsite in Motion, a private partnership that says promote health, education, and the community. And in Quartzsite, where the kids are spread out hundreds of miles, 6 schools came together, and guess what we did this morning? Yep, we made contact with the International Space Station, but you know, it takes a lot of pre-work to be eligible to be one of the schools, or in this case, 6 of the schools that are coming together to work the International Space Station. Schools for a year will be putting up all sorts of examples of space work. And we saw on the walls today all of the great work that these kids had put together. And we thank Shane, KE5HOD, who helped us, along with Rosalie, be able to do a scheduled contact to get these kids on the air. And that's one of the instructors, and talking all about the sun and solar flares and the eclipse that's coming up in August. Look at that. These kids really did their homework ahead of time. And they had tons of displays, and this convinced the ARRL that these schools would be ready to work the International Space Station this morning. So kids, great job for a whole year in pulling together the program. Of course, our rig is the ICOM IC9100. That rig is just a workhorse, and it takes the computer programming added to it. Neil, W6FOG, was going to be our main man behind making contact with the space station. And we had Dave was getting the program rolling, Dave Anderson. And everything worked great on those passes that would be out to the ocean. But things were not quite right on passes to the east. We would program the computer and everything would go good. And for some reason, it held up at about 30 degrees. Well, be thinking, what would hold up that ASL rotator at 30 degrees? Well, we looked at that. And we went, what's going on? Oh, we figured it out. Many times, rotators have north as the dead spot where they'll stop. So we just simply turned it 180 degrees, and then we were rolling. So once we had that the day before, that was yesterday, we were ready to make contact with the International Space Station. Now, that's Dave on the right, and that's Gary, our ATV and audio guy on the left. Well, you can sort of see him. Dave looks a little concerned. Took us a little while to figure out what the deal was, and then a little light bulb came on going, oh, wait a minute. Many rotators don't rotate through north unless you turn them 180 degrees. So we got that one squared away. So the La Paz Valley group was ready to go. That night we said, okay, we got the rotor going just great. We'll see you in the morning. Want to thank Chip Margelli, K7JA, and Clint, K6LCS. Clint's one that does a lot of the satellite demos throughout the Southland. They gave us all the pass information that we needed, right down to the half minute. And it was going to be about a 45-degree pass. And thanks to La Paz County Search and Rescue, they loaned us, for these kids, their customized emergency trailer. Well, bright and early this morning, the buses pulled in. 300-plus kids were there from 5 different schools in the Quartzsite, Arizona. And these are rural areas where there may not be cell phone coverage, so these kids were really radioactive. And that's exactly what we wanted. Out of those kids, I think there's about 12 of them were selected to be the ones to actually make contact with the space station. Even the chief of police of Quartzsite, Arizona was there, and that's Neil, W6FOG, just to my right. Neil's the one with the beard. He's the one always calm and cool and collected. He says, we got it made. And boy, was he ever right. These kids were going to have a great time. So Neil has everything all set. That's our setup inside the La Paz Search and Rescue trailer. Neil goes over and tells them exactly what the deal is, that we aren't doing a telebridge. This is the live stuff. And when you're live, as you all know, doing demonstrations, you don't get a second chance because the space station only comes overhead on this pass just once. Off we go. And these kids were great. Take a listen to the kids and the response from the space station.
KI7HHU, Kilo India 7, Hotel Uniform. Can you share a story that sticks out in your mind since becoming an astronaut? Over.
She wanted to know what was big about being an astronaut.
Plenty to share. I think a very memorable one would be my first launch on the space shuttle back in 2008. Just because I'd never, experienced it before, but sitting on the launch pad and the anticipation, and then actually launching and sitting on the top of a rocket was a pretty cool experience. We got to accelerate from 0 to 17,000 miles an hour in about 8 minutes. So,
woo-hoo-hoo, wow. Well, that was great. And, you know, these astronauts did a fabulous job of working the kids and vice versa. And many of these kids, including all those other hundreds of kids, earned their amateur radio license, thanks to Dave and Heather and a whole bunch of others, John and Pat, helping teach these folks all about earning their ham radio license. So they looked a little nervous talking up to the International Space Station, but after it was over, yahoo! Now, where are all the other kids? They are inside at the exhibit. So we followed the space station volunteers. Look at that. Is that a neat thing? Really gave all the hams that turned out a big boost to work the International Space Station crowd and see all that was going on. Arizona Amateur Radio Association had a very, very nice booth, and they had a drone as a good attraction. And to the left is the Sheriff's Amateur Radio Program. That was put together by Dave Anderson, and that is up and coming, where ham radio operators, mainly these kids, will be assisting with communications during a widespread emergency. And a lot of neat demo gear that the sheriffs brought and that the kids brought as well. And, oh, yeah, I mean, some really neat stuff. And I'm very happy to say that Bioenno Power was the power source behind some of these great stations found in a little suitcase. So, Kevin at Bioenno Power, thanks for the big boost there. All right, here was our space station team. They said, follow me. We're going to give you the tour. And look how happy the hams are that we're finally giving kids something to, well, talk about. That's Susie in 6GLF. My wife, she did all the driving back and forth, and we did our Instructor Academy, meeting many of these school teachers and getting them on board to teach even more ham radio and ham radio classes. And believe me, the teachers really enjoyed it. And the kids were amazed. They thought that the space station radio was a huge one. But Rosalie says, we need a replacement radio up there, and it's like a couple $100,000 for the payload to go up there. So we hope all of you will support the American Radio Relay League's ARISS program. Go to the league and take a look at Amateur Radio International Space Station. That's Heather Canton. And Heather just worked her tail off getting things going. And, of course, you'll see her for Tai Chi out at the Quartz Fest coming up next weekend. And kids had all sorts of little projects. This was the lunar lander with little marshmallows that they had to drop and not have it fall apart. Every ham that was there said, you know, until we got involved with Dave and Heather's operation, we were just sort of, you know, doing our thing, but now this is fun. So there you go. We hope all of you will get involved with that. Drones, you bet. We talk kid talk, and they love the drones. In fact, they knew more about it than we do. So kids are interested in ham radio, especially in those rural areas where they might not have cell phones. So we hope all of you will get involved and turn kids on to all the excitement there is with ham radio and support the league's ARISS program. And we heard many kids on the air this past Saturday for Kids Day. So, wow, this is fun. I've got my soldering pad right here. Don, what's going on over there, and what's new with DX Engineering? Don?
Well, you know, it's September. It's January, and it's cold outside. It's not cold today, but it was 24 degrees here over the weekend, which of course is cold for South Mississippi. So it's time to curl up with some warm tubes and a good book. And this is the book I recommend. And of course, you know, if you're not, if you want to, you might want to put this down and warm up the tubes real good, because we are in the unofficial midpoint of contest season. So thinking about that, how are you doing with your scores? Grabbed any new wallpaper? Huh? Working on it? Well, DX Engineering has everything you need to move your station to the top of the result list. And here's some of the latest. RM Italy, linear amplifiers. They prove you do not need massive juice to break through the pileups. RM Italy's has amplifiers for HF or VHF, and depending on the model, you can get up to 250 watts of RF amplification. They're the perfect complement to your favorite HT or low-power mobile-based radios. And the VHF amplifiers from RM Italy are a great solution if you're having trouble reaching a nearby repeater. Like me, I live basically 50 miles from everything. So get you an RM Italy amp and improve your signal work. Also, around less than ideal antenna setups, you got one of those, DX Engineering's NCC2 receive antenna variable phase controller. Combines the DX Engineering NCC one-phase controller and the RTR1A receive antenna interface technologies into one box. What that does, it lets you phase, transmit, and receive antennas a lot more easily, which is a great feature if you've got space constraints on your property. The NCC2 gives you enhanced balance functionality, increases its ability to vary the phasing between two different types of antennas. And now you can expand the NCC2's versatility with new internal slots for plug-in module versions of the DX Engineering Receive Guard and RPA series preamplifier. You want to step up into the digital world? Well, Rig Expert and Tigertronics make the transition easy and hassle-free. The Rig Expert TI-8 links your radio and your computer, giving you rig control along with keying and audio interface capabilities. It's compatible with all the digital modes, CW, RTTY, all the cool sound card digital modes and digital voice as well. And the tried and true Signal Link from Tigertronics, just about everybody's favorite. It's PC and Mac compatible, virtually plug and play with most radios. It's a computer to radio sound card interface that unlocks dozens of digital modes, including PSK31, RTTY, SSTV, CW, MT36, Echolink, and many others. You don't have to have the latest and greatest radio with a USB direct connection on the back of it. You get yourself one of these nice interfaces, and it will just simplify everything. Totally plug and play, does everything for you. You're going to love it. I had a Signal Link myself before I got my 7600, and I got to tell you, I loved it until the lightning took it out. Of course, you can't do anything about that, can you? Well, actually, you can, because DX Engineering also has lightning arresters and all your grounding things in here, too. You need to get one of these catalogs. And DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. Get your order in by 10 p.m. Eastern, and if it's in stock, it'll be on a truck headed your way tonight. That's right. It's DX Engineering. Expert advice, proven products, the best people in the business, and we're going to talk to some of those here coming up next with Val. DX Engineering helps you shrink the globe. Request your catalog shop online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you're in the chat room, say hello to Mel at K8KSU. She's in there as well. She's a cute little thing. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, dxengineering.com/hamnation. We thank DX Engineering for their support of Ham Nation. And speaking of cute little things, we've got Val, and we've got Terry, and we've got Mr. Cute himself in the lavender shirt tonight, Tim Duffy, K3LR over at DX Engineering. Look at y'all. Man, y'all look sharp.
Hey, thanks, Don. You know what? It's so odd that you brought up the NCC2 beverage phaser. We got one of them sitting in our car we just bought today, so we'll give you a full report in a couple of weeks. So another reason we came to DX Engineering, so I could finally beat Bob out on having more radios behind me. Look at this wall. It's pretty cool. So I'm here, obviously, with Terry and Tim. And Terry was a gracious host showing us around. We got the full tour of the retail area, the manufacturing area, and the warehouse. Pretty amazing stuff. If you ever get a chance to get to DX Engineering, I highly recommend it. And I did notice something out of the corner of my eye. Jerry can attest to this. I can spot a sale a mile away. And I saw one of these. So now they have a reason to get here. You want to tell them about the winter sale?
Yeah, we've got a winter sale, just when you thought it was too cold to go out. And it's after the holidays, so it's time to come to DX Engineering on Saturday, January 21st. We're going to have a big open box sale, and that means that stuff will be less expensive for that day only. And it's only here at DX Engineering. You can't get this on the web. It's our open box sale. We do this every January, so it's January 21st, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and this is going to be the place to be. We've got tons of equipment that we're going to put out, and we are going to reduce the prices. It's going to be fabulous, Val.
Oh, great. So January 21st, 9 to 5, and it's definitely worth the trip. It took us, about 7 hours to get here, and well worth it. It was a great place. Pretty amazing facility here. Now, I understand you have a video for us today about Hamvention. Is that correct?
I do. Michael Coulter, WHCI, was in very, very recently here last week, and we shot an update video about what's going on for Hamvention 2017. And so he's got more answers on all the questions that keep coming up. And we thought that Ham Nation would be the place to show this first. We'll have it on our website tomorrow. And of course, you can always replay the Ham Nation segment. But what we'll have on our website tomorrow and on YouTube is an extended version of this. So we'll have about 15 minutes on there tomorrow on that link. So look for it at dxengineering.com in the videos section. But we've got all the highlights here tonight.
And if you're planning on going to the DX dinner or the contest dinner, I understand tables are almost sold out, so you got to start ordering your tickets now for those dinners. So, Brian, you want to go ahead and roll that tape of Hamvention?
Welcome to another edition of DX Engineering Videos. And today we have Michael Coulter, WHCI, who's one of the officers at the Dayton Amateur Radio Association here in Talmadge, Ohio. Welcome, Michael.
It's a pleasure to be here, Tim.
It's great to have you back. You visited here before, and we're very privileged to have you stop in. And let's get a little update on Hamvention 2017. How are things going?
Actually, we've had issues, and we have a lot of positives. So let me give you kind of a quick rundown. What I want to say first is that I can't give information out that is not solid. And I know that people have questioned us, why don't we know about this? Why don't we know about that? So we're asking for people's support along the way and trust us. I mean, we have put on Hamvention for many years very successfully, and this is a new playing field for us. We really like getting good ideas that come in. We appreciate that. And we also would like for people to work with us as we work with so many other organizations. This is a tough year for us, and by God, it's going to be a 5-star event. So let me start with a real positive. The county has just finished bringing in a high-speed internet pipe for the buildings, and we're very excited about that. Now, do I know the speed yet? I really don't have that information, but it'll be forthcoming. But that is a really big move for us. And then we're going to have AT&T is agreed to drop phone lines in wherever people may need a phone line in the buildings. Mm-hmm. I want to also mention that one of the big things that we get is, there's a lot of roads going in there that aren't very wide. So how in the world are you going to handle that? So we recognized that in our own organization that we needed to reach out to a professional engineering firm that does this all over the country to help us and to work with the local government officials so that we can really have a good solid plan to keep people flowing in. So one of the things I think is exciting, Tim, is the fact that the price of, I believe the price this year is $22 for the ticket. And you know what? That's going to include a free parking.
Wow.
And
that's great.
Yeah, and people say, well, we're going to park in the mud. So it could, if it rains, the areas that they have are all well drained. They do this, this is an expo center, and they have this area extremely well drained. And I know that's a fear for people, but even in the flea market, we have as many spots plotted out, and that will soon be on the website. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in that infield at the fairground, it looks like it's just going to be mud and dirt. That's not true. It is specifically drained for events that they have that could happen in the rain. They park semis on that, and so we have no fear that is going to that will be successful. So why don't I take a break here from all the talking? Why'd you ask me or say something?
So, and on the website currently, you've laid out where the booths are in the various buildings now. So, and you have enough booths. If everybody shows up that was at 2016 Hamvention, you have enough booths to take care of them in 2017.
That's correct. And we are also looking at, I'm pleased to say we'll probably have those pavilions. They look like big white tents in a way. We're not really using the word tents, but they're air conditioned. They're very, very nice. And I think you and I had originally talked that was one of the visions that we had there, and it looks like that is going to happen. And so we'll have those at our disposal as well, and to help with getting things out of the weather, and if we have overflow areas, because we don't want anybody to be cramped. We want to have a good flow through the whole complex.
One of the things about Hara, and you and I both, I think, can agree that Hara had its faults, but it also had a lot of areas. The main arena was one area, and the main food area was another area where guys could sit down and talk. And you would find guys that this was their once-a-year meeting. They might live California and New Hampshire, and they got together at Dayton, and they were able to sit down, have a sandwich, and talk. What do those opportunities look like out at Greene County
Well, I'll tell you,
Fairgrounds?
that's big on my mind too, because I love to meet people and sit down and talk with them a minute, as you do. I've seen you doing
Yes.
a lot. And we have rented many, many more benches that'll be out there, nice benches, and we hope to maybe have at least one of the pavilions just for a nice meeting room where people can sit and that. And also, when people sit and talk, they like to have maybe a good drink or something to eat, some good food. So, much as I loved Hara, one of the things I didn't necessarily like about it was the food. And I complained to them about it, but they sort of had that. So right now, we, as Hamvention, are bringing in a lot of different like food vendors, food trucks. It's big in our area right now, and we want to have a nice wide variety of great things to eat, and as well as we will have alcoholic beverages available too. And I don't think there'll be anything stronger than wine, but still, if you want to have a beer, maybe a glass of wine, we're going to make that available, because it's all part of being a 5-star event.
And to do this 5-star event, it takes a commitment of volunteers. And so let's talk about the Dayton Amateur Radio Association and the number of volunteers that it takes to put on Hamvention.
Oh, normally it takes about 600 volunteers. 600 volunteers. And right now we have a leadership team of 86 people, 86 individuals that we meet with on a very regular basis. And these are all volunteers. So those of you who have led volunteer organizations, know the trials and tribulations. But I'll tell you what, and you had a chance to come to our Christmas party to meet a lot of these people. Their hearts are so into it. I'm not sure anywhere else in the country that you could bring that many people together and keep them focused, working together with a lot of drama without a lot of drama or infighting to make this happen. And they're working basically around the clock to make it happen.
And that's to me is really the secret sauce to Hamvention, is that the Dayton Amateur Radio Association, 600 volunteers that come together. I mean, their enjoyment is seeing others have fun at Hamvention.
You're right.
And come from all over the country, all over the world, to come to this. This is the signature event of amateur radio coming together and friends. And so you want to talk about what the theme is for 2017, Michael?
Same friends, new location. Same friends, new location. And I want to talk a little bit about our communication process. We've had a glitch here lately. And the glitch was our webmaster, been a great guy for years on this. He has run into some serious family issues that he's had to pay attention to. And he had to recently resign from it. He just couldn't get everything done, and he was very regretfully had to do that. So we have scrambled. We have people now in place to take care of this. We have to keep qualified people in there. And you will see a lot more information come out of at our website than has been, and probably within the next 10 days. So. All right, Tim, I want to thank you and the thousands of other hams that are supporting us and want us to be successful. And for us, it's not a hope we'll be successful. We have, we make New Year's resolutions. We have New Year's determination. we will be successful. It will be a 5-star event. And after this hamvention, the plan is you go, whoa, this is good. How'd these guys do that?
Well, we're looking forward to that, and we're all with you, Michael. Thanks again for coming in today, and thanks to all of you for watching another edition of DX Engineering Videos.
Well, I'm looking forward to this year's hamvention. I'm going to tell you that right now. I can't wait. I love that county fair atmosphere. So that's pretty amazing with 83 committees and over 600 volunteers. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a great event. Well, I'm joined here with 5 team members from the 3Y0Z gang, Bouvet. And the reason we came to DX Engineering is they wanted them to do a little engineering for the team. Maybe we'll have Glenn talk about that a little bit. What did you want DX Engineering to put together for you guys?
We're really glad DX Engineering has volunteered to do a lot of support for us and supply a lot of materials. And one of our needs is to get an antenna up on a mast that will withstand a lot of wind. We might have 100-mile-an-hour winds on the island, and easy to put up. It's quick to install, quick to take apart, and we've kind of come up with a little falling derrick design like my pens here. So if we put it together like this, bring it up part way, put an antenna on it, and then we pull down here and the mast comes up. And this will be about 30 feet high, and we'll have our prototype at the Dayton Hamvention.
And so how many of the falling derricks are you going to have? What antennas are you going to use this for? What bands?
From 20 meters up to 2 meters for EME. We'll have 14 of these masts. And that doesn't include our low band antennas, which will be verticals.
Now, maybe you can, Ralph, you can tell K0, that was W0GJ. Ralph, K0IR is one of the team leaders for the Bouvet DXpedition coming up in 2018, which is #2 on the most wanted list. So it is a big time DXpedition. Maybe you can just kind of tell the gang a little bit about that DXpedition.
Okay, Val. Well, we are bringing together 20 operators from 8 different countries assembled on this team. We're going to go to Bouvet, which is the #2 most wanted entity in the world, as you mentioned. We will be sailing out of Punta Arenas, Chile, most likely. It'll be a 2,700 nautical mile sail, one way. When we get there, weather permitting, we'll do a helicopter landing and bring all our personnel, all our equipment ashore, and set up camp and try to do the best job possible that we can, covering all the bases, all the bands, all the modes, everything from 160 up to 2-meter EME.
So you said 2,700 nautical miles. How does that translate in 2 days to get there?
It will probably be between 13 and 15 days, depending on the winds and the seas. Each way.
And then why do you need the helicopter for Bouvet?
Really, the only safe access to the island is by helicopter. Now, it is possible to bring a Zodiac ashore, but being possible and being a wise decision are 2 different things. A beach landing can be very dangerous. There have been beach landings. They've been difficult. People have gotten wet. Their possibility for injury, equipment damage, and so on is very significant. So we're not going to go that route.
And I imagine with all the generators and gasoline and radios, it would make it even more difficult.
Yes, getting a man ashore is difficult enough. Trying to get a 150, 200-pound piece of equipment out of a Zodiac with 6-meter swells coming at you is a big challenge, probably more than a human being should be trying to do.
And now Jim, N9TK, I know he's been on a few DXpeditions with Jerry. Is this your first time to one of the cold weather DXpeditions?
Yes, it is. I've been on several tropical, and I've always wanted to do a subarctic trip. I've sweated enough in the jungles, and so this way we can layer. But no, it's a great opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to go. I've been bugging Ralph the last few years to go somewhere cold, and this finally came up. So I'm thrilled to be part of the team and really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's good. And no bugs. Also, Hal, now you want to tell everybody about the website and maybe our Facebook page?
Yeah, well, Ralph and company, they do a great job with the website.
And I'm sure everybody's had an opportunity, or hope you've had an opportunity to check it out. But I want to remind folks about our social media side of this with Facebook. And if you're a Facebooker, we currently have a little over 2,000 followers on our 3Y0 Zulu Bouvet Facebook site. So I encourage people to follow along with us. It will be active throughout, and currently what we're doing is introducing the DX world to our 20 team members and trying to introduce one a week. So, and then when all's said and done, we'll be introducing some of the other people behind the scenes, perhaps our chief pilot, and of course our able boat captain, Nigel Jolly. We want to share with the folks out there who's going to be taking us to the island. So, so follow along on Facebook, and stay tuned to our website. It's 3Y0 bouvetdx.org, bouvetdx.org.
Very good. And when are you leaving for this expedition, roughly? Do you know?
Well, it's about a year from now, right, Ralph? Early January, I think, are the plans. Nothing's set in stone yet on the dates, but about a year from now. And it's going to take us probably 6 to 8 months to get all of this equipment ready. We got a lot of work ahead of us this summer, and then everything is going to have to go to the sea container, and then the sea container will be shipped to the Chile, so it will meet the Claymore 2 down there in southern Chile. So we got a lot of work ahead, don't we, guys? Yes, and Ralph's already put like a year's worth of work into this already. So, and Glenn's put a lot of work into it, and of course Hal over there has been doing all the social media stuff. So there's been a lot of work done already.
And I'll be the pilot, the chief pilot for that as well. And I'm really looking forward to this expedition, as I'm sure many of you are, because I'm sure you all need it since it's number 2 on the most wanted list. So that's all I've got for this week. I'll see you guys. You have to watch 2 weeks from tonight, because I'm going to be live from the control room at Arecibo. So I'm going to pass it over to George. And George, take it away.
Okay, Val, and everyone else there at DX Engineering, good to see you guys tonight, and we appreciate all that you do, because that is not easy stuff to pull off, and it's not cheap either. Boy, but what fun it seems like. Well, tonight we've got a video from Randy, K7AGE. Before I do that, though, I do have a much shorter tales from the transmitter this week. Nothing like last week. We ended up having some ice here, a lot of sleet. And when you get something like that on these high-power FMs, you turn your power down. It's not good to, try to do 100 kW ERP on an antenna that's covered with ice. So we generally back the power down a little bit and wait till the ice in the vent is gone. And then we'll raise it back up, and that way you don't burn up your transmitter with that high reflected power. Well, that worked great, all except one transmitter. When I went to turn it back up, it didn't want to go back up. And it ended up being this right here. I don't have the top off of it. This is a 250-watt driver module for the 4CX 15,000 tube that the transmitter uses. It's got 2 of these in there. There's a single MOSFET in here that's 250-watt amplifier, and you combine 2 of these, you got 500 watts. Well, this one cracked. I'm not sure why, but I've got to be swapping that out. No big deal on that one, though. Much easier than walking a mile in the rubber boots in the mud. So can't complain too much about that. Well, now here's Randy to continue on talking a little bit about power poles and pulling out the crimp tool this week.
Hello, Randy, K7AGE. I'm going to make up a DC power extension cable. I thought it would be a good time to look at power pole connectors. Okay, so let's move on to crimping a connector pin on. I have this crimping tool, and it's a ratchet tool. You can hear it making the ratchet noise. And this is one I bought years ago from West Mountain Radio, although these are available from just about any place that you buy the power pole connectors. And what this style of tool forces you to do is to close it all the way down in order to get a proper crimp. So if you close it part way, it won't open back up. Now, if it does jam, you get a wrong size wire in there, you can press this little lever up and it will allow it to open up so you can remove the pin. Okay, this crimp tool has a die in it, installed in it, and it has 3 cavities, one for the 15 amp, the second for the 30 amp, and the third for the 45 amp connector pin. And as I close this down, you can see that we'll be closing really tight on the 15 amp as compared to the 30 and less tight on the 45. And this is because of the different amount of wire that's going to be inside the pin. So we have to make sure we get the right pin with the right wire size in the right cavity. And you can see the close-up of the die here, the shape, where it has these curved areas, which bends it kind of back on itself to ensure the crimp connector has the correct shape so it fits correctly inside the plastic shell. Some guys will say you don't need the expensive crimp tool that you can crimp the pins with a pair of channel locks or some of these other tools that you may have in your toolbox. I've never been able to obtain consistent, repeatable results with these things. I'll take my good old ratchet crimp tool any day. Okay, to get started, I've stripped back the wire about 1/4 of an inch. Just kind of twist the ends together to make sure there's no loose strands. So to start, we place the pin down into the cavity, and we want the flat edge here to be down against this side here. So it goes in this way, not that way. So it goes down into the cavity, and it should just drop in there and seat like that. Now to start with here, I'm just going to close this down a little bit to kind of hold it in there while we place the wire. So I haven't squeezed it together yet. So if we think about this for a second, it'll save us having to twist the pins around in order to get them into the socket body. So the pin is in the die in this orientation, and here's the connector. So it means it'll slide into the connector in like that. So if I keep the red wire to the right of the black, I shouldn't have to twist those around when I go to insert the pins into the body. Okay, we're ready to crimp the red wire. So I'm going to slide the red wire down into the pin and take and squeeze this all the way down. Opens back up, and there we are. And you can see how the die has crimped it with it rolled the edges in and made it a nice tight. And that's on there. It won't pull off if it's properly crimped. Now let's crimp the black wire. So I take the pin again, and it goes down into the cavity. Sits in there. I'm just going to close this down a little bit, and I'm going to put the black wire in this orientation. I'm just going to pick this up here. I can squeeze it better. I'm going to hold that wire in there so it doesn't slide out, and give that a good squeeze. Tool opens up, and there we are. Both pins crimped on. So this comes up quite often. Do you solder the crimp pin after you've crimped it? Or do you tin the wires before you crimp it? I don't do either. I just take the bare wires, twist them together to make sure there's no dangling wires, and then just crimp it together. I don't go back and resolder it. Some guys do. I don't. Which is best? I don't know. I figure in commercial applications, like in your cars, all the connections in your cars, everything is crimped in there. Nothing is soldered. So if you have the right tool, you do it properly, that is on there. It's not coming off. Now, if you pull on there and it slides out, it hasn't been crimped properly. Maybe if you solder it, that'll hold it in. But if it's done right, I don't believe you need to solder it. But there's lots of opinions out there about what is best. This is just the way I do it. Okay, so time to push the wires into the connector. You can see this is the orientation that they'll go in with the curved area facing up. I slide both of those in there, get them flat as possible, and push these in. We should hear it click. 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 All done. So that wraps up building my DC power extension cable. Like I said earlier in the video, you can plug the connectors into themselves. There's no power supply in, there's no radio in. This can be an extension cord without any problems. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Well, thanks for that, Randy. You know, the power pole connectors are really popular. You see them more and more, and it's worth investing in that crimp tool if you're going to do many of them. If you just got one or two to do, crimp tool's a little expensive, but if you're going to be doing them for a long time to come, might as well go ahead and make that investment. Well, you know, last week I asked a question. This came from the Amateur Radio General Exam Pool. What causes the voltage to appear across the secondary winding of a transformer when an AC voltage source is connected across its primary winding? And your choices were A, capacitive coupling, B, displacement current coupling, never heard of that one, C, mutual inductance, or D, mutual capacitance. Well, we had a winner, and it's Bill Hudson, W6CBS, said that it's C, mutual inductance. Congratulations, Bill. DX Engineering will be sending you one of these nice DX Engineering silkscreen t-shirts that I'm modeling right here. And, well, this is a really comfortable t-shirt. You'll enjoy that. For next week, I've got another question here, and this one comes from the technician pool. But it's probably not the easiest question on there. Most of you should know this, though. Which of the following is used to convert a radio signal from one frequency to another? A phase splitter, B, a mixer, C, an inverter, or D, an amplifier? If you think you know the answer to that, send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, because next week I'm going to give away this MFJ 113 giant LED alarm clock. It can display 12-hour or 24-hour format. Great clock for your shack. You can see it all the way across the shack, as a matter of fact. So, hey, nice clock. hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could win. Right now, let's get a message from one of our sponsors, ICOM, and then we'll be right back. Are you in need of a good New Year's resolution? How about improving your listening skills? ICOM has an array of radios to help you stick to your resolution all year long. Base stations, mobile transceivers, handhelds, and more, ICOM has all the equipment to make 2017 the best year yet. Coming soon, the ICR 8600 will bring your listening skills to a new level. Start the new year right with this new communications receiver. Ultra-wide frequency coverage, real-time spectrum scope, and a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen display. Now available, the ID51A Plus 2 provides new models for extended D-Star coverage. Available in 5 colors, the ID51A Plus 2 allows you to listen wherever you go. Terminal and access mode, send and receive text messages and pictures, DV fast data mode, and easy FM repeater settings. Ideal for the contester on the go, try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design. The real fun starts here. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register to win for great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. While you're there, learn how you could win the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. That new radio for January is going to be the ICOM ID51A Plus 2 dual band, dual watch VHF UHF handheld transceiver. It's got analog and D-Star, built-in GPS receiver, DV and FM repeater list function, independent AM/FM receiver. You can download a free Android app for it, and lots more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And now, Don Wilbanks, are you there?
You know, it's amazing. They keep cramming more and more stuff in these radios. It was the ID51, and then the 51 Plus, and then the 50th anniversary, and now we've got the Plus 2. And they just keep cramming more and more things in these small handheld D-Star radios. It's amazing. I don't know how ICOM does it. I seriously don't, but I'm glad they do, because great products. Let's get into some great news of the week from Newsline, shall we? From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2045, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. As we reported earlier on Amateur Radio Newsline, plans have been underway to replace the VHF radio aboard the International Space Station, which failed this past October.
The Ericsson VHF handheld that is called the Columbus Module Home for 17 years came up with an error code as astronaut Kate Rubin's KG5FYJ was preparing for a contact with a school in Nebraska. She was able to complete the contact by using a radio in one of the Russian modules of the station. As a result of this radio's failure, hams all over the planet no longer have the capability of APRS and digipeating on VHF through the space station. JVC Kenwood graciously donated a TM D710GA mobile dual-band radio. Modifications have been made, and a special power supply prototype has been built to facilitate using the radio in both the U.S. and Russian modules of the space station. Production and certification are the next steps, which cost an estimated $200,000. This makes the urgency for the donations to the cause to be even more intense. Some local clubs have stepped in to help, such as my home club, the Bloomington Amateur Radio Club in Bloomington, Indiana. Those wishing to make a contribution should contact Frank Bauer, KA3HDO, at ka3hdo@verizon.net. Reporting for Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9VPG.
In Australia, there's going to be a new band at 60 meters. But when?
No matter where in the world you're listening to Amateur Radio Newsline, if you've been waiting to get a 60-metre contact to VK land, you'll need to wait just a little bit longer. Although the updated Australian radio frequency spectrum plan was planned to take effect on January the 1st, the 5.3 MHz band is not yet ready for prime time. Administrative and regulatory details need to be brought up to date before the new spectrum plan can kick in. The International Telecommunications Union has already approved the worldwide allocation on a secondary basis for amateurs for the band between 5351.5 and 5366.5 kHz. There are still details to be ironed out, so be patient. Our regulatory body, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, has many T's to cross and many I's to dot before we can begin to QSO with the world on the new 60-metre amateur band at 5.3 megs. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
The Sisterhood of Amateur Radio has honored one of their own, a founding mother of the group.
Elizabeth Bigley, KD7RIN, has been honored by the group she helped create. Elizabeth, who co-founded the Sisterhood of Amateur Radio in Nevada, has become a recipient of its 2016 Legacy Award. The honors were conferred on her during the group's holiday luncheon in Henderson, Nevada on December 17th. Elizabeth has been part of SOAR leadership since it first came into being in July 2009. She is also president of the group's Las Vegas chapter. The Legacy Award honors women who have contributed to supporting the female involvement in the advancement and continuation of amateur radio. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jerry Goodrich, KF5KRN.
Ham Radio will help mark another 100th anniversary this year, up in the Great White North.
The Battle of Vimy Ridge 100 years ago is often called a defining moment for Canada. Though soldiers paid a terrible price with their lives, the Canadian World War I victory in France in 1917 is said to mark the real birth of Canada as a nation. Special event station Victor Echo 100, Victor India Mike Yankee, will be calling throughout each of Canada's 13 call areas from now through to March 30th. All of this will culminate in the actual battle commemoration in April, with stations located at the Vimy Memorial site in France operating around the clock. The special event was organised by the Vimy Commemorative Station Society in British Columbia. For details, visit ve100vimy.ca. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
For the rest of this week's Amateur Radio News, please listen to the full Amateur Radio Newsline report online, on a repeater near you, or on shortwave radio station WTWW at 9930 and 5085 kilohertz. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Jerry Goodrich, KF5KRN, Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5TW, saying 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And, of course, that shortwave, WTWW, we're on there live right now, simulcasting on 5085, getting into all 50 states at once, and on 12.105 with a huge signal over into Africa. So if you're listening to us tonight on WTWW shortwave, thank you so much for that. We appreciate that, and thanks to Ted Randall and his family for keeping that thing on the air for us. Now, Dr. T is over in Europe, so she would be able to listen probably on WTWW if she had the time, but she's doing a talk on solar weather over there, so she sent me some images and for me to tell you about what's going on with the solar storm. So for solar storms, she says there's a small coronal hole shooting some fast wind at us over the next 3 days. So small, it's likely that the fast wind will graze Earth to the north. That means we may only see small effects on the bands, if any at all. We go to the next slide, and we'll say that we've been seeing small flares popping up over the past few days. They might cause some extra short-term noise, but there's no risk for radio blackouts. The flares are due to a new region forming near the west limb of the sun. That region will rotate out of the Earth view by tomorrow, so things should die down quickly. Outside of that, solar flux rises slightly this week as a new region rotates into Earth view later on in the week. And, of course, if you'd like to get the latest from Dr. T, you need to follow her on Twitter. That is her Twitter page right there. You can find that at Tamitha Scove on Twitter, and also on Periscope when she goes live on Periscope. Now, coming up in a couple of weeks, I want to tell you about a great ham fest that's down here in my neck of the woods. It's the Hammond Ham Fest in Hammond, Louisiana. Hammond is north of New Orleans, on north of New Orleans across Lake Pontchartrain. It's the 36th annual, coming up January 21st. If you're going to be down here, it's a great ham fest, very, very popular, good stuff. It is on the it's in the Student Activity Center at Southeastern Louisiana University, SLU. And if you go to selarc.org, SELARC, Selarc, for Southeast Louisiana Amateur Radio Club, selarc.org, you can find out everything you need to know about that. They've got some great drawings and some great forums and prizes, and it's a great ham fest, and I shall be there. So hopefully you'll be there too. Right now, I want to talk to you about a brand new sponsor to Ham Nation. And this is, if you own a business, or if you're in charge of hiring at your business, there's nothing more maddening than having to hire new people. There's so many hoops to jump through and so many things to do. I had to hire my assistant, hire a new assistant for my department, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And we ended up having to use the company, I don't know, the company website, whatever. And it was a huge pain in the butt. And if I'd had ZipRecruiter, oh my, I would be a much happier person. ZipRecruiter. So new year means a fresh start for your business. If you're going to be hiring someone, you need to go to ZipRecruiter. But posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. And with ZipRecruiter, you can do just that. ZipRecruiter can jumpstart your hiring this year. Post your job to 200-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any city, any industry, nationwide. You post it once, and the candidates will just roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No more juggling emails, no more calls to the office. Quickly screen candidates with real-world questions using free-form multiple choice or yes-no formats. You can view candidate responses in conjunction with beautifully formatted resumes, rate them, and hire them. Hire the right person, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 1 million businesses. I wish my company would have used it. Right now, post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. You go to ZipRecruiter.com/twit. That's ZipRecruiter, spelled just like it sounds, ZipRecruiter.com/twit. And thank you, ZipRecruiter, for coming on board here with us on Ham Nation and being a part of what we do. ZipRecruiter.com/twit. Now, we're running a little bit late. Let's go down to Amanda and see what's going on in the chat room. Hello, Amanda. You're looking lovely as usual.
Thank you. I'm so embarrassed. The team hung up on us, I guess, and I was taking questions only for Val and the team over there. So I do have one question I can ask George tonight. But good evening, everyone. Let's go first for my announcements. First, we'd like to wish Marty 80PO and Kelly KE0EWK a happy 31st anniversary. Woo-hoo! And thank you, Marty, for always being in our chat room. We always enjoy your conversations. Next announcement, AK4 Oscar wants us to know that Tark Fest in Tampa is taking place this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And just Google Tark Fest, TARC Fest, and find out more information about that. They're doing card checking, the usual license testing afterwards, all that good stuff. So stay tuned. And if you guys are in the Tampa area, go check it out. All right. George, my one question for you is K9JPP. Sorry, I have a dog trying to come up my shirt here. He says, I need help. I am not kidding you guys. He's like, right here. Hello.
How rude.
Radio, really. Behave.
Pick him up.
He says,
pick him up. Put him on camera.
He's getting heavy. He's getting so big now. Do you want to say hi to radio, Jeff?
I don't care how heavy he is.
Jeff's going to bring him in to say hi.
Just pick him up.
He is being ornery.
There he is.
Oh, radio.
Look at
the radio dog. Hi, radio.
Those ears.
Hi. Those ears, I'll tell you. I got to get my thoughts together now. Okay, George, again. K9JPP needs help connecting an SM220 to his TS2000. He says Kenwood is the make for both. Is there a trick to doing it? What's he got to do?
I'm not. What is the SM220? Is that a microphone? Gordo?
Cricket.
Oh, the SM220. What? Gosh, I remember that number. It's not the amplifier, is it? No.
Is it a station monitor? The SM is the station monitor? SM. Let me Google it real quick.
Be.
Hey, chat room, help us out.
Sounds right. SM2. We got to be a station monitor.
We'll just plug it in and see if it works.
Yeah, it's a station monitor. Station monitor.
I am not sure on that.
If it bursts into flames, you can go to Amanda's place, and she's got like 100 inches of snow. Amanda, we're all thinking of you, kid.
The snow's already melted here. Up in the mountains, though, there's like 12 feet in some places. So it's so bad the ski resorts actually had to close in Colorado because there was too much snow, if you can believe that. It's been...
Hey, Amanda?
Yeah.
I just Googled SM220, and the first 4 hits... let's see. There's product reviews from eHam. There's a monitor demo from YouTube, and
I know what it is.
And a manual for the SM220. Yeah. So there's a manual, a product demo, and reviews on eHam. Right there,
it's
the first 3 of the first 4 hits on Google for SM220. So that should give you all the information. Yeah, it's a service monitor or station monitor. It's a scope. Yeah.
It's a monitor scope. The 230 is more. Would probably be better for the 2000, but the SM220 for the older Kenwood was fine. But be sure and get the pan adapter so you can see what's happening up and down the band in between the snow at Amanda's house.
Google is your friend.
Thank you, Gordo. And gosh, we should have had that as a contest question. That was good. All right.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know the answer. How will I choose a winner?
George,
you
can
enter to win, George.
Okay.
Wow, that's good, Don. Thank you. You guys, everything else was seriously for the DXpedition team. So I'll send Val some email questions and maybe she can get some answers from them. I think mostly they wanted to know things like, yes, you wanted to know if the website was going to be kind of like Herd Island. So we'll find out for you guys. Trust me. All right. So other than that, let me go over the nets that we're going to have for you tonight. Going on right now, live as we speak, we have the DMR, the new net on TAC 311, and the Echo Link Dewdrop in net, and D-Star 14 Charlie. Don't don't forget that one. That's a popular one. There's a lot of check-ins there. Even Don Wilbanks checked in last week. That was awesome, Don. Nice to hear you.
That CAD.
And our HF net tonight is on 7180. Kevin is usually our net control, but he's out sick tonight. So Steve, W7UDI, who does the 20-meter net, is going to be handling that tonight. So give him heck out there, you guys. And with that, who's wrapping it up tonight? And I'll send it back to you.
I don't know. George, you want to flip a coin? I don't care. You can do it, or I can have my evil twin Lon do it.
Why don't you have Lon do it tonight? We haven't heard from him in a while.
We're in trouble now.
All
right. Well, I guess that'll do it for us tonight. We've had some great content tonight for you. We've had the lowdown from Michael Coulter on Dayton and the new venue. I'm excited to see that one of these days. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I'm excited to get back up there. And of course, the great stuff from Bouvet. We got to see the Big Eared Dog Radio. We got to see. It's been a great show. It's been a great show. So we will be back again here next Wednesday night, same bat time, same bat channel. So we'll join you all then. So for the usual suspects here on Ham Nation, I'll say good night, 7-3, and we will see you next week. And thanks for being part of our little family. Good night, everybody.